so cool that y'all are here. So if this is your first time in one of my live streams, I love to do these because I really, really like to connect with the autistic community. I really like learning from y'all, and I feel like when I learn from you, I am also learning more about myself. So I don't know if y'all have had this same experience when you've been on my channel or on another channel where you hear or read somebody else's thoughts and how they're describing something, some part of being autistic, and you're like, oh my gosh, I would have never had the words for that, but I feel that same way too, and that's how my life is also. So that's why I love connecting with y'all. And whenever I found out I was on the spectrum, I just felt really alone. I didn't know anybody else like me who was on the spectrum. And so I wanted to be able to create a place that felt safe where we could explore stuff together. So the things that I like to create on the channel are in response to your needs and the things that y'all bring up. So I just want to share that with you. Connecting with you live is one of my favorite things. And also, like people are saying, the comments are so helpful on the videos because everybody is just sharing their own experiences. So I love it. I love interacting in the comments with y'all and on my Instagram and anywhere you can find me. So the channel has been through some updates recently. My cat is over here wanting to participate. You are welcome. I love doing what I do. I love it, love it, love it. So the channel like exploded. Like if this is one of your first live streams with me, these past 2 weeks, I kind of stopped checking the numbers because I was like, what is happening? It's so exciting. So there's so many of you here. Usually I have been able, Beltre's over here, Suan, my cat, but he's like being stubborn and wanting to go sit in the other chair. Maybe he'll come over here. So I've been like priding myself. Is that a word? Priding? I don't know. That sounds really weird now that I say it. And being able to respond to all the comments on the channel, but it has become physically impossible to do so. Y'all wouldn't believe, like, I promise I spend so much time trying to respond to comments. And I told myself, I'm like, I also want to create new content. So I'm trying to figure out the balance between those two things. And I really appreciate y'all being patient. Thank you, Lada. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce anybody's names. El Rose says, I panicked and then I found you. Well, I'm glad that you're here. I have also done plenty of panicking when I first thought I was on the spectrum. Oh my gosh. I'm like, but that's not what autism is. I had such a misunderstanding of what it was. So if you're panicky, you're in the right place. Okay, so let me kind of give you an idea of what I was thinking for today. This time is also y'all's time. So whatever questions you want to ask me, I'll try to get to as many of those as possible. I've never done a live stream with this many people. Super excited. I know because the last live stream wasn't as big and I still wasn't able to get to everyone's questions. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get her to look at this and answer this, there are things that I'm just now getting used to. At the bottom of this chat, there's like little kind of emoticons at the bottom. And I think it says show your support for mom on the spectrum. Let's see. And when you click on that, you have the option for super sticker or super chat. And if you use either one of those, it will like animate your message or it will highlight it. I think it might even keep it at the top so that I see it. So if you want to utilize that feature, you're welcome to during this time. But otherwise, I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to do my best to interact with the comments and also provide some information to y'all. So I figured we would kind of cover the autistic traits in women video that I posted recently because there's been so much feedback on it, but also feel free to bring up other topics because I feel like they kind of overlap and work together. So we will do that, but hello, omnipotent mama. So if we, before we begin, I just want to say it is totally fine if you disagree with me. I actually welcome it. That's how we learn, right? Is to consider opposing views and do our own research and come to our own conclusions. Please disagree with me if you would like to. You can push back on some of my ideas or thoughts or opinions. But I want to say this, I would really like for this to be a safe environment for people to explore and to ask questions. So number one, please don't make fun of anybody for any questions that they ask. Number two, we can have totally different beliefs about gender and sex, but please don't try to preach at anyone in the comments here, okay? It is a fact that people on the spectrum are going to have different experiences in terms of gender and sex, more so than the general population. It's not something that I have studied well, but I do know that I want this to be a safe space for anybody who might identify as something other than male or female, whatever your sexuality is. I just want this to be a place where we're not bullying anybody else. So y'all will have to help me in the comments because I can't read all of them, but I think, okay, I'm clicking on options. I can put users in timeout. I can also, well, let me see the rest of this. Hide user on this. I don't know. So don't make me put you in timeout, okay? Like I said, you can totally disagree with how I think and discuss gender and sex, but don't belittle other people here. If you really feel like you need to get a point across, you can find my email address in the about section on my YouTube channel and, you know, share away there, but let's help everybody here feel like this is a safe place. Hello, Nathan. Yes, and Mary, I've heard that slogan before and I really love it. If you met one person with autism, you have met one person with autism, because all of our experiences are very different. And that's a really good segue, I think, into our discussion today. So there's been a lot of feedback about how some people resonate with these characteristics or traits, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're autistic. That is true. So these traits that I came up with, I actually compiled this list according to feedback that I received from people on the channel. So just because you resonate with all of the traits or some of the traits on this list, it doesn't mean that you're autistic. It was originally intended to be a fun video to explore how life with autism can present, especially for women. Now, I've also had a lot of feedback saying that these traits can also apply to men and people with other experiences. So that's okay too. So I am not a licensed therapist. I'm an autistic person who loves helping the autistic community and sharing my story. So that's the perspective that I'm coming from. Gemma, thank you so much. So much. If y'all haven't checked out Gemma's channel, she's another autistic YouTuber. She's awesome. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of feedback about how, okay, well, I identify with these traits, but I'm not autistic. Okay, that's totally fine. Or you could identify with all the traits and feel like you're autistic. So here are my thoughts on that. If you didn't see, I had like this little follow-up shorter video. So glad there's so many of you here. It's like a 2.5-minute video, and it's like, I think I titled it, "Oh my gosh, I think I'm autistic. What do I do next?" The first thing, don't panic, okay? I know somebody said they panicked and they're here. Panicking is okay, and you're not in trouble if you panic, but I realized when I started thinking I might be on the spectrum, I just had a really big misunderstanding of what it actually is and how it presents, especially in women. So the autistic community is really cool, as I'm sure you're already finding out here in the comment section on the right. So don't panic. Number two, you might want to take some other assessments, like online assessments, to help give you a better understanding, because the list that I presented in my video is not meant to be used as a diagnostic tool. It can shed some light on autistic experiences, and I think it has done so, and many people are able to kind of come together in the comments and say, well, hey, that's me too, and then also this. But it's not a diagnostic tool. So there are other online assessments for free at embrace-autism.com. Oops, with the O in it. So you can go to that website, and there's a ton of free assessments that will give you more information about whether or not you really might be on the spectrum. Now, if you take those assessments and you start scoring pretty high and thinking, and thinking, okay, this is starting to make more sense. Maybe I am on the spectrum. Sue-Ann, I think you were the one that had such a great comment about this. Sit on that information. Okay, you don't have to do anything with it right now. Usually for many of us, this is when we entered our research phase, okay? And if you know what the research phase is, give me a little emoji or thumbs up or something in the comments so I can know that I'm not alone. But this is when the research phase likely begins, where you start trying to find other resources and better understanding what autism is and how you might connect to it. Yeah, I'm seeing those thumbs up come in, L Rose and TMC. Spaced out for a second. Research phase. Okay, got me back. Thank you. Hashtag research phase. Okay. So sit on this information, right? Whenever we have this new big realization in life, usually not good to make big decisions in that huge like realization period. Okay. So let it settle, sit with it. You don't have to tell anybody about it unless you want to process it with somebody else that you trust. But sit with the information, see how it feels to you, and start engaging with the autistic community. There are so many autistic content creators that have absolutely incredible stuff from all different perspectives. I'm trying to compile a list with the help of another community member who's offered to help, but I want to just be able to share a list with y'all of all these autistic YouTubers, Instagrammers. That is how I first connected to really feeling like, okay, like once I saw it, I could not unsee it. I was like, I am on the spectrum. So once you start learning about other people's experiences and kind of seeing them put it into words, you will start feeling one way or the other like, yeah, this really resonates with me. This is kind of how I see the world. Or no, I don't really think this is me. And either way, that is okay. Either way, that's okay. Autism can be misdiagnosed as many things. So that's why it can be helpful to have a professional to help you differentiate between autism and other things. So whenever I received my professional diagnosis, I was also tested for other mental health. It's always hard to know which word to use there. Mental health conditions. I was tested and evaluated for different things to kind of rule out other challenges that I might be coming up against. So the issue with that is that it can be difficult to find a provider who actually understands how autism presents in adults. It is not studied enough. It's not understood enough. So you have to be careful about who you go to if you decide to seek a diagnosis. So I have provided a couple of resources, and I'll put them down here. So again, there's online evaluations at embrace-autism.com. The diagnostic psychologist, I think her title is psychotherapist. She is an autistic adult. And so that's pretty cool. And their website's awesome. And then also you can check out spectruspsych.com. Some of you have said that you just don't know how to talk to a professional about it, that you're like scared to death that they're going to laugh at you and not believe you and, make you validate all these claims. Spectruspsych.com, that's a link to my psychologist, Dr. Jennifer Williams, and they are just one of the safest places that I have ever experienced. I owe them so much. So if you're looking for a safe place where you're not going to be judged for questioning whether or not you're on the spectrum, Dr. Williams does online evaluations, and they are licensed to evaluate anyone in America, I believe, through telehealth services. So they are located in Texas, but available to help with diagnostic evaluations for adults anywhere in America. So I'm trying to kind of keep track of some comments over here. Gemma says she was misdiagnosed 6 times before finally autism. So yeah, I had a diagnosis of OCD before autism, mostly anxiety. Like people were like, you are just super stressed and super anxious and you need to calm down. That was super frustrating because I feel like for as long as I've been able to communicate with professionals about what I was going through, it's always just been, oh, you're super stressed, you're super anxious, and you need to have stress coping strategies, right? So that feels a lot like being gaslit. It is being gaslit. And that is one of the traits that I talked about in the video is gaslighting. So let me know if you resonated with that. Let me know if you resonated with the gaslighting trait that I mentioned, because this is an important one for me. I think so many of us are used to having these experiences and challenges all throughout our life and then being misdiagnosed or written off as something that we just can't manage properly. Everyone has social anxiety. Everyone, gets upset by loud noises, whatever. I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying that's some of the stuff that we've been told. So we start doing it to ourselves and we start thinking, well, I'm overthinking this, right? How many of us overthink things? Overthinking to the max. That's me. So we get used to gaslighting ourselves, and it's not good. It's not a habit that we need to continue. So here I am saying, take yourself seriously. Especially if you keep coming against the same challenges and issues. Like if it's a one-time thing, okay, we're going through a difficult season. I just noticed like my hair was like parted weird and it's driving me crazy. Sorry. If you're going through a difficult season and you're having trouble in social situations, okay. Take it seriously, make sure you get the help that you need. But if things like this become a persistent problem or have always been an issue in your life, don't talk yourself out of it. Like your feedback and your understanding of what's happening in your body and mind, we can trust that information. Now, it can kind of be a practice to get back into the habit of trusting ourselves, because a lot of us have practiced not trusting ourselves, right? But our body gives us feedback, stomach aches, headaches, body tension, tightness, constriction in the throat, not being able to sleep, feeling dehydrated. All of those things are our bodies telling us that we need more attention in some way. Also, I don't know how y'all feel about this, but dreaming, ow, I just hurt myself with my ring. So sad. Like if you catch yourself daydreaming, I don't know what I did to my finger. Pay attention to the things that you think about in those situations, because it can give you clues as to what your body and brain and mind really want and crave. So yeah, I would say that's a big difference between identifying autism and something other than autism. Are these symptoms of social differences, repetitive behaviors, special interests, sensory overwhelm, are those pervasive and consistent in your life? Have they created significant challenges that prevent you from having a job, from having successful relationships, from taking care of yourself? If those are persistent and consistent, if there's a difference between the two, yeah, I think it could totally be worth looking into whether or not you are on the spectrum. Have I studied anything about abnormal synaptic pruning? No, but I'm writing it down. If y'all know me, oh my gosh, I have like a list on my phone. Wait, y'all, okay. Abnormal synaptic pruning. I have a list going on my phone of like topics that I want to research. Don't get me started. Got tested for CPTSD. Okay. Should we jump into that now? Hey, Smooth Smickety. Ella Rose says, do I already have an online group to chat with other viewers? The chat is moving really fast, right? There's so many people in here. Okay. Narcissism and gaslighting. I'm so happy there's so many people in here, but it does go really fast. Okay. So a couple of thoughts I'm writing down over here on my notepad. I have a short video on a community called AS Direct. It is a community on Discord, and I believe last time I checked, it's the largest online community Let me see if I can show you kind of how it's set up. I was totally new to Discord and I was like, what the heck is this? I don't know. So, oh, there's a glare. Oh, that's probably not going to work. Turn the brightness up on my phone. Okay, AS Direct, and there's all these different channels on it. So there's different chat rooms, weekly wonderings, special interests, LGBTQ plus, emotions, gratitude, entertainment, gaming. So there's all of these different channels. Yeah, Whitney, I saw you on there today. That was funny. So if you're looking to connect to other individuals, those chats don't move this quickly. So you can go into an individual, I don't know the words channel on the channel within the channel, I don't know. And you can connect to other autistic people there. There's a way of putting comments on slow mode. That's so cool. I'm gonna have to look into that. Slow mode. So yeah, that goes back into our topic of connecting to other people on the spectrum to figure out if this is a community that you do relate to. And whenever I started reading stuff from autistic content creators, I was like, where have these people been my entire life? Like, that's why I get so excited talking to y'all, because I'm like, I feel like I just don't have to mask. I feel like I can be myself. I feel like y'all give me words for my experiences. So it's really cool. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of CPTSD on the side of the comments. Let's talk about this. There can be a lot of overlap in CPTSD and autism. So if you're like, what is CPTSD? Complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So here's what I'm learning. Again, not a licensed therapist, just a super geeky psychologist nerd who loves studying it in my spare time. Okay. As someone on the spectrum, our nervous system is on higher alert. Okay, so that's part of the reason why we have sensory overwhelm. Oh, good. You're so happy we're talking about CPTSD. Such a positive. Just kidding. It is good to talk about. So that's why we get sensory overwhelm so much more easily, like with bright lights or upsetting sounds or textures, because our nervous system is on high alert. So we are more prone to go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. I believe that there's also a fawn mode. So this also leads to meltdowns. So an autistic meltdown is when everything just kind of stops working. You feel like you can't really talk, you can't listen, you're not processing information, everything feels like too much, and you kind of just have to be completely by yourself and regulate, breathe, come out of this meltdown mode before you can do anything else. That's a result of our nervous system shutting down. Whitney says, can you have both PTSD and CPTSD? That's a good question. I have never thought about. I don't know the answer to that. That's interesting. Write it down. CPTSD and PTSD? Question mark. Okay, here's something I learned about trauma. Trauma is a big word. It's a scary word sometimes, and we feel like it should only be used for huge, huge events, right? Somebody important to you passing away. I don't know. I'm not going to go down that because that can be upsetting to talk about that kind of stuff. Okay, so we feel like we sometimes have to save trauma for really big things. Well, trauma is not the event itself. This is news to me, okay? Trauma is not the event itself, but it's how your body responds to the event. So there could be an earthquake in California, and somebody who's lived in California their whole life, no big deal. They keep going on with their day. They're like, whatever, it's no big deal. It's just a tiny earthquake. It's fine. And their body is like not upset about it at all. But you could be visiting California for the first time. You could have never experienced an earthquake in your life, and your body starts freaking out, starts thinking, I'm going to die. Everything is like going to fall on my head, and that's going to be the end. And so your body starts going into like shutdown mode, freaking out. That is trauma. But it's not trauma for the other person who's used to earthquakes, and it's not a big deal to them. So many of us on the spectrum are going to have trauma. and probably more instances of trauma than people who are not on the spectrum, because our nervous systems are on higher alert. So things are going to be more easily upsetting to us. You don't necessarily have to remember what the traumas were to have been traumatized. Sometimes it's just an experience. Maybe it's something that happened when we were younger that we don't remember. But that trauma, it takes on a life of its own. Bye, I think somebody's leaving. Bye, Zoe, I'm glad you're here. Or we're here. The link for the Discord, I'm getting distracted. It's a video that I made called AS Direct. I don't have the link right now, but it's on the channel, my YouTube channel, because I'm a YouTuber. Okay. Sometimes I'm just like, this is surreal. Okay, so trauma, if we don't allow ourselves to process it, right? Because our trauma, a trauma response, like fight, flight, freeze, that's our body protecting us and telling us, you don't have the resources to handle this right now, so I'm going to take care of it for you, and you're just not going to think about it. Okay, well, the trauma is still happening, but we shut it out. So our body starts shutting down. That trauma, okay, this might sound kind of woo-woo. Hi, Jesus. I'm glad you're here. That trauma stays in our body, and it doesn't go away until it's processed. Wild. I know. It can create all different types of problems, chronic health issues, headaches, stomach aches. The list is really long. There's an incredible book on this that's very scholarly. Sorry, I'm reading comments and trying to process. Called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. It is a tremendous book. It takes some work to get through because it's so heavily well documented with case studies and all this other stuff, but it goes very in detail in terms of therapies and different approaches for resolving trauma. And it's just fascinating. Like when you work through trauma, it it lightens your body, like it lightens your mind. You're able to interact with the world more fully, and it's really incredible what it can do to process trauma. So I want to share that because there are many overlaps between CPTSD and autism. You can also have both of them. You can be autistic and have CPTSD, which I think is a pretty common occurrence in this community from what I've read. They're not the same thing. But when you've experienced trauma in your life, and it can affect how you interact in relationships, it can affect your sensory perception and your nervous system. So there's a lot of things like that can be considered similarities. So I wanted to share that because it's important to note, again, that autism can be misdiagnosed. And that's why it's important that we work with trusted professionals who can give us better insight into what we might be experiencing. Now, with that being said, there are many of you, and myself included, we've been to professionals before and said, I think something is different about my brain, and what you're saying doesn't fit. It might be possible that you go through with an autism evaluation and your provider tells you, yeah, you're not autistic, but you feel internally that you are. Don't stop. Don't give up. A lot of you on the channel have said you sought a diagnosis and the provider was like, no, you can make eye contact and you have friends, so you're not autistic. Okay, that person is not informed as much as they need to be. You can make eye contact. You can fake eye contact in a way that makes it look like you're capable of eye contact. You can also maintain friendships as a person on the spectrum. There's a lot of misunderstandings about it. So I just want to encourage you, if you have not had the type of experience that you were looking for in terms of an autism evaluation, to maybe check out one of those two sources that I had shared earlier. And if you're just now getting here, here's the first one, embrace-autism.com and spectruspsych.com. Also, let me throw a third one out there, NOCO assessment. Hang on. NOCOassessmentcenter.com. Assessmentcenter.com. This is the one where I got mine done. NOCOassessmentcenter.com. That's Dr. Laura Sanders. Also, I've shared this with many of you, but if you're planning on getting an evaluation, I think one of the best things that you can do is write out why you feel like you qualify for an autism diagnosis. So for a lot of us, it can feel there's so much like social anxiety around the diagnostic process because well, for many reasons, we've been gaslit so much and we feel like, really worried and anxious about what could happen through this experience. We also don't like the idea of having to validate ourselves and our experiences in order to get a diagnosis that we feel like really fits us. So one thing that can help with the social anxiety is taking all the time that you need in a safe environment like your home, and writing out why you feel like you fit the criteria. I'm smiling because I wrote 10 pages. Here you go, Dr. Sanders. And she was like, you know what? She was like, this is very helpful. I'm so glad you wrote this out. I actually got that idea from one of the first podcasts that I started listening to when I thought I was autistic, Laura Zdan, Zdan, I think. And she said she did the same thing. She wrote a ton of pages about why she felt like she qualified for the autism diagnosis, and it really helped her provider. So some areas that you could pay attention to. You've written 12 pages, TMC. That's awesome. Martin, people are over busy. That's a bummer. I wonder if there are limitations to like embrace autism's evaluations if they do them worldwide. But I don't know, if you're in a place where there's long wait lists and stuff, it might be worth it to look into online evaluations. Hello, 345 Barry. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so I was going to say, if you're going to write pages about why you feel like you're on the spectrum, I'm feeling so stimmy right now. I'm like needing to do something with my hands. Okay, you can stick to social differences that you have. Social differences, how you interact differently with people socially, how you process sensory stuff, like sensory overwhelm that you deal with, special interests that you have, which will be like things that you go into a black hole to study, like things that you want to research the heck out of and get super, super upset if somebody interrupts you while you're doing that. Special interests. Repetitive behaviors. So we talked about this. A lot of you were really surprised in that video regarding things that could be stems. Passaggio! I'm so sorry, you were in the wrong chat. It was totally my fault. It was like honestly a disaster. And I felt like a disaster, but I'm glad you're here. L Rose, my brain's kind of squirrely too. I need to take notes. I was talking about stems. A lot of you were surprised at some of the things I listed that could be stems. So I didn't know that I stemmed all the time, but I always have. So stems, especially like if you were growing up, I say especially if you're a girl, but so many of you have shared your experiences and say they're similar. So for many of us growing up, we didn't feel like we could stem openly because we felt like we would be annoying or socially disruptive or whatever it might be. So we suppress our stems or come up with like secret stems. So it might be messing with your hair. It might be twirling your hair. Like I did this in class all the time. It might be biting your lip. It might be, somebody said they pick at their eyebrows. I don't know. Pulling hair, just FYI, pulling hair can be related to something else called trichotillomania, which is an anxiety disorder. I don't like using the word disorder, an anxiety condition. Okay, so back to stems, twiddling your thumbs, picking at your nails, picking at your lip. I used to blink in class. Like the teacher would write words on the board and I'd spell them with my eyes. So I had a system, but like blink once for each letter. Actually, blinking does feel really good. I don't want to send y'all into sensory overwhelm by blinking a million times, but that feels good. So playing with rings, fidgeting, and I was a band nerd, so I was always like, somebody else mentioned this, but I would just sit in class and I do like my flute fingerings on my pencil over and over and over again. So there's so many ways to stim. I know a lot of us think of the stereotypical autistic stims like flapping hands. But for many of us, especially people that were considered higher functioning, gross, I don't like that word, probably suppressed our stims in many ways so that we didn't create waves. We stim, going back to our nervous system, we stim to reduce the stress on our nervous system. So if we're super anxious, something that I feel like when I'm on the verge of meltdown is that I feel like I want to crawl out of my skin, that I just want to like, I felt it this morning actually when I woke up. I was like, what is happening? I want to like leave my body. Not like I'm fine, don't worry, like not like in a dramatic way. So stimming is like a sensory regulation technique. So our body feels uncomfortable and you can get energy out of your body and kind of self-soothe by rocking. Sometimes I just like hitting my fists. Feels really good. So stimming is something that we do to regulate our nervous system. So I share all of those things because if you could focus on those categories, those are some of the main categorizations and diagnostic criteria in the DSM-5, which is what most providers use to diagnose autism today. And if you're more interested in what is in the DSM-5, I have another video on that. I think it's called What is Autism? And I think it says, according to the DSM-5, and I also wrote my definition of autism, which I think turned out really well. I'm really proud of my definition of autism that I came up with for now. Okay, y'all can put some questions in the comments over here. I'm going to kind of scroll through and see what I've been missing. What are some questions you would like me to attempt to answer, talk about, that we could discuss? Pencil instrument fingering. Lotta, what instrument did you play? Suyan flaps when she's excited about something. I think I would. Like, I like flapping. I think if I had gotten into the habit of it when I was younger, I think I would do it all the time because this feels really good. Does anybody want to like flap with me right now? Is anybody flapping? It feels really nice. Somebody shakes like a duck. El Rose shakes like a duck. Don't want to be in your skin, body with a meltdown. Yeah. Teeth pressing. Oh my gosh, Marie, it's so crazy that you brought that because you know what I do? All the time. I always have some type of pressure around my mouth. Even when I sleep, I like press my hands into my mouth and I can't sleep unless there's pressure here. So yeah, I think teeth pressing can definitely be a stim. And for me, something really interesting, I'm reading all this stuff over here. Okay, have y'all heard of the vagus nerve? It's not like Las Vegas. It's like VAGUS. I'm going to scroll up in just a second. It's going so fast. VAGUS, it connects our... Whenever I try to talk about it, I always forget the words. Pretty sure it connects our brain and our body. Runs like down the back of our throat. It's super important for regulating our nervous system. And one way that you can activate the vagus nerve is, it's called the Valsalva maneuver. So you can try it right now and you might just notice there's kind of a release at the back of your throat. And then taking large breaths, obviously. But I think that might be why I do this all the time. I think it has like a similar effect. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to scroll up just a little bit. Lotta played violin and piano. Stimming is a natural pacifier. Yeah. Your son is a happy flapper. How long did my diagnosis process take? That's, no, I did not answer this question already, Elrose. Okay, I am lucky and I'm grateful for my situation. I know that I'm in a unique situation. I live in a big city in Texas, and I think once I decided I wanted to be evaluated, I knew about a psychologist who specialized in adult autistic adults who only worked 45 minutes away from my house. I got on their wait list, which I think was like 6 weeks, like nothing. They sent me a lot of paperwork. So this process is going to be different for every provider, but there was a lot of intake in terms of like how I grew up, what my experiences were when I was younger, a lot of paperwork that I could do beforehand, and I could do it all online. And then there were also other autism assessments that they sent me. I have a video where I detail each specific assessment that I went through in my process. Like I got out my evaluation and I went all through it. So there's another video on the Diagnostic Process playlist that I have. So I did all those things before my appointment. And then at the actual appointment, I'm trying to remember now. I think before I went in person, I'm getting mind confused with my kids' evaluations. I went in person, the AC was out, the air conditioning was out, and I live in Texas, and it was in the summer. The AC was out, and it was right when we had started wearing masks. So I had to wear a mask for the entire process, and the AC was out. And I had to take tests that measured my intelligence. So it was a bit of a challenge, but I feel like when I was in her office, it took like an hour and a half, but break times were offered. And I believe, I can't remember if this was for me or for my kids, but I believe before I went to the office, I think we had like an intake meeting over telehealth virtually, where she kind of got to know me and kind of asked me some questions about my experiences. So this process I'm talking about was through nocoassessmentcenter.com, one of the links that I sent, nocoassessmentcenter.com. I know that she's licensed in Colorado and Texas. She might be available to do evaluations online for other people in America. Sorry, I don't have more resources outside of America, but I think Embrace-Autism might be a possibility. So I hope that answered your question. After that, I think she got back to me within like 2 weeks. And every day I was like waiting on pins and needles. Aren't expressions weird? Like, that's so weird. I was, anxiously waiting every day. And then she's like, yep, you're autistic. And also I can't remember how she worded it, but some type of stress disorder. Unspecified stress disorder. I don't know. I need to go back and look at it. Okay, let's see what other questions. Oh my gosh, y'all, there's so many questions. I thought that Okay. Am I missing other questions? I'm seeing a lot of good commentary. And I do question what an official tag. Okay. Ariane says they do question what a diagnosis would bring to your life. I have seen that come up a lot on the channel. And I will tell you, so I had an older woman comment, I think she was in her 70s, and she was like, I just don't even know why I would do that now, because I've lived so much of my life. But I'm telling you, like, if you could know at any point in your life how to have more self-compassion for yourself and how to connect to resources and support that could make your life more easily navigable, I mean, it's just so worth it, right? One thing to consider in the autistic community, self-diagnoses are highly respected in the autistic community. So, first of all, making some generalizations, autistic people are very typically honest and like want to know the truth. So many autistic people that I've met, like, they're not going to use that term. They're not going to use that term if it doesn't apply to them. They want to make sure that they are using the term correctly. They go through so much research, hashtag research phase again. So people who end up using the term autism as a label to help them understand themselves, from what I've seen, they go through a tremendous amount of research and study before they get to that point. So having a self-diagnosis is pretty well respected within the community because, again, it can also be really hard to find a provider who knows how to accurately diagnose adults. So if that's what you work with and you use it as self-diagnosis and that helps you feel validated and seen, I fully support you on that. I think the goal at the end of the day is to learn how to better understand ourselves and develop more self-compassion and empathy. And I think when we can do that for ourselves, that helps us do it more for other people, to show up in a more kind and compassionate way in the world. So who cares? Like, use whatever label you need to, in order to better understand yourself and feel more kindness and compassion towards yourself. A a professional diagnosis for me. Okay, this is how my life works. I have to share everything. I have had I've had a lot of weird experiences, a lot of weird health conditions in my life. And the thing that I've learned is, like, whenever I share them, it allows me to feel more empowered and like I have more control over things that frustrate me. So I knew going into this process, I was like, once I knew that I knew I was autistic, I was like, oh, damn, I'm going to have to share this with the world. Because I know how my brain works. Like, I've had autoimmune stuff and like random foot surgery that hardly anybody in the world has had and like required a special doctor. So I'm very public about what I go through because I feel empowered when I get to connect to other people. And it helps me feel less alone, helps me feel like I can use my experiences to help other people. So I knew that I was autistic, and I knew that I was going to make this information public. So for me personally, I wanted a professional diagnosis because I wanted to be able to point to it. I didn't want to be like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber and I think I'm autistic. I'm not downplaying that. Like, that's okay if that's you. There's no judgment for me. I just felt like, for me, I wanted to cover all my bases, and I had the availability of working with a provider who I knew from a friend that I could trust to give me an accurate diagnosis because of her experience. So, okay. Yes. What else do we want to end up with? What do we want to close with today? What other questions do we want to talk about? What else did I write down? What else do y'all want to see videos on? Rebecca says, what about disclosing at work without a professional diagnosis? That's a really good question. And Rebecca, I think that it would depend on your employer and how you feel about relating to them. I know that through some universities, you don't have to, like, you talk with, I don't know if the health center is the right department. You talk with like a department that handles accommodations, and you don't have to share it directly with your professor, which I think is helpful. I don't know how it works in the workplace, and I guess that would vary depending on where you work. But I think you could probably talk to HR and ask for some accommodations, and maybe start there and see if they have different requirements. Yeah, that's a good question. I might have to do some research there. If anybody else has information about disclosing an autism diagnosis without a professional diagnosis, I would be interested to hear more about that. Becoming mentally balanced, that's a challenging situation. I'm sorry to hear you're stuck in that situation, but I hope you can feel more seen in the community here and online in other areas. Tunnel sunshine, you're struggling to know whether or not you're on the spectrum and how to tell without a professional diagnosis. This is bringing up something for me that we'll probably close on here today. My daughter's got a dentist appointment. She's had so many lately. Okay. This is something that frustrates me. I think that, well, we have a long way to go in terms of bettering the testing process, especially for autistic adults. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Yes, Whitney's right. There's some good online assessments you can take that will help. But what I want to say is the assessments, I think, many times are set up in a way that's really complicated and challenging for people on the spectrum. Like, so many of the questions, and I've talked about it on here before, so many of the questions are like, okay, it totally depends on the situation. Like if it asks, would you rather be at the library or at a party? It's like, okay, well, what day is it? Do I have work tomorrow? Are these my friends? Is it a small party? Is it a big party? Are we going to be at someone's house? Are we going to be at a bar? So like reading these questions, I'm like, I don't know how to answer these questions because there's so many variables and everything. And then there's also like, least likely, most likely, those testing questions drive me crazy sometimes because I'm like, it depends on what mood I'm in. Okay. And then I was talking, overthinking the test questions. So many people do that. And so I was talking with someone last month, and it was really interesting because I did the same thing. So I was taking the test. My brain's in two different situations. Okay. So I'm talking to this person a month ago, and she's like, I know what the right answers are, but I don't know what my answers are. And we were like, there's not a right answer though, But I remember that feeling like 2 years ago now when I was taking these online tests. It's like, I know what the right answer is in terms of like social appropriateness. And I'm not sure if I do that because I know it's the right answer, or I'm not sure if I do that because I'm masking. I'm not sure if I do that because that's who I really am. So it can be really, really confusing to take those tests. Hey, Woodshed Theory. Hello. Woodshed Theory and I are going to try to team up soon to do a collab. If you haven't checked out her stuff, you should go check it out. It's pretty cool. Another autistic female who likes to crochet. Okay. So with the testing, it's frustrating because when I was taking the online test, like I said, I didn't know if my answers were a mask or if that was how I really operated. And I didn't know how to distinguish between the two because I'd been masking for so long that I didn't really know my true answer to the test questions. So I will tell you again, after being in the autistic community for a long time, I've taken the tests again and I answer it so much differently, and I feel much more accurate in terms of my answer. Like I know what my actual answer is without masking, if that makes sense. But I think that's why it's so, so important. Like if you think that you might be on the spectrum, to spend time in the autistic community, and you can start to see how other people have unmasked, how autistic traits present. And really just over the course of the past 2 years, I've been able to start unmasking more. I still mask a lot, which we didn't really get into that today, but that's just trying to appear more socially typical, like covering up sensory needs and stuff like that you have. So I would just say, if you don't know how to answer the tests, there's no rush. Okay. There's no rush. You don't have to do anything with this information right now. Just sit on it, let it soak in, because it's a lot to think about. Take some online assessments, see what you think about that. Connect to the community either here or AS Direct. There's also, Whitney, were you telling me there's another community? I can't remember if Whitney was telling me someone she was a part of. There's also another really cool community that why does it say that? Why is it like, how did you highlight my name? That's crazy. Hello, Moon Silhouette. I just lost my train of thought because there was color on the side. Okay, autistic community. Asperger experts. They do online workshops. And if you're new to the game, Asperger's is kind of now just like a part of the autism diagnosis. It's not really a separate standalone thing. So Asperger Experts is a really great community that I've found, and they do online workshops. Wait, is Orion here? You're just shouting out his name. Oh, see his channel. Okay. So that brings me to my last point before we close up here today. I cannot believe it's been an hour and it's been so cool that y'all are here. Okay. Two last points. First one is quick. If you're here and you like participating in the community element, I would encourage you to hang out on the community tab of my channel. Okay. It's kind of like, if you're new to it, it's kind of like a Facebook thing, but just for me. So I post and then you can comment on it. I'm doing my best to, oh my gosh, I'm so fidgety right now. I'm doing my best to respond to comments on the community tab. Like, it's just ridiculous how many comments other things are getting, like the videos. So if you want to interact with the community and have a better chance of getting a response from me, check out the community tab on my page. Second thing, I've been saying this for a while. I promise that it's still in the works. I'm developing something called autistic community groups, and I'm very excited about this. Again, I've talked about this on my community tab. I'm a mom and I have a lot of big ideas, and then I have 2 kids with special needs who require a lot of time from me and thwart my plans, but I love them. So autistic community groups, something that I've been trying to put together for a while, because again, this is my favorite part of the channel, is connecting with all of you and learning from you. It's going to be based around the model that I'm in for a group therapy session that I have with other autistic people twice a month. But it's going to be discussion based. So the goal is to have maybe 10 to 15 people in like a Zoom like situation. There's going to be a topic each time. Which head theory? Oh my gosh. I know, celebrate. There's going to be a topic each time. So like it might be masking, or it might be autistic needs coming across as preferences. It might be meltdowns. So I'll post the different topics and you can sign up to participate in the discussion. It's going to be probably 90 minutes. And it'll start off with kind of just the opportunity to share about yourself if you want. I'm working on finding a platform that can accommodate all these things. So I want us to have the option of video, audio, and text chat. You can keep your video off the entire time if you want. You don't have to be seen. You don't have to speak. You can be a fly on the wall. So I want it to be accommodating of whatever your communication preferences are that day. So it'll start off with the opportunity to share, kind of where you're at, what happened in your week that was really great, what happened in your week that was really hard, and be able to get, some feedback from maybe some other members in the group to kind of share, have shared experiences that we can talk about. And then I'll introduce the topic. I'll give a little bit of background as to what masking is or how meltdowns happen, whatever the topic is. And then I'll have some discussion-based questions that we can use to kind of start the discussion. And then you would be able to participate by speaking, by typing. It might even be possible to private message me. These are all the things I'm still working on streamlining. So for those of you who had a hard time finding the live stream, I'm trying to iron out all the bugs of autistic community groups before I launch them. So that's why I'm just taking a little bit longer to get my footing there, because I want to make sure that it's something that is alleviating stress in your life and not adding stress. So if you're interested in that, keep checking my community tab, which is where I'm going to first post information about that with a sign up link to the sign up. I'll also probably post that on my Instagram account at Taylor_Heaton, HEATON_. We'll put it over here. So I'm really excited about offering those. I'm going to try to make them available in different time zones for those of us who need them. Reading some of these, please post links in the video description when you can. Which links are you wanting? Allison. Okay, yeah. So let me know which video links you're wanting. I think I've already posted some links in the description that might be helpful to you. Woodshed Theory is right. I have already hit 10K. It's not reflected on my page yet because, like, in the YouTube studio, the behind the scenes thing that I see, it's a little bit ahead of what y'all see. So thank you so much for all of your support. Um, Whoever just said that about the likes is right. There's a lot of people on here. If you could take time to like this video right now before you leave, that helps it show up in the algorithm, which has been helping me out so much, y'all, because I'm actually starting to be able to like do this like for a job, which is insane. So y'all help me do that just literally by liking. Oh my gosh, it's going up. That's so crazy. This is so dumb, like in the most awesome way. Like, I can't believe that I'm sitting here as a YouTuber doing this. It's so awesome. Thank y'all for the support. Like this video, share it with anybody who might enjoy it. Thank you for the congrats on 10K. I think that's all that I have for y'all right now. Thank you, Whitney. Oh my gosh, y'all are so sweet. Yes, this has been such a loving and respectful conversation. Thank y'all for being nice and for listening to people and supporting them and offering resources in the comments when I couldn't get to them. And I think I already, yeah, I need to go nap. I think I've already mentioned I'm working on a resource guide that's going to be free. And it's going to be like as many autistic resources as I can provide to you, because I want to just keep building our community and have us be able to support each other. And like, for those of you watching, if you have businesses and like online services and products you can offer, let me know and I will add you to the resource list. Okay. Yay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. The other way that you could support me, lastly, you can download the Meltdown Survival Guide, which a lot of you have been doing, which is awesome. You can download it at taylorheaton.gumroad.com. Thank you, Blackpink. And you can also support me at paypal.me/mom on the spectrum. All right, I'm going to get out of here because I keep talking. I'm going to keep talking. Thank you so much. It's been so great to connect with all of you, and I can't wait to see you. I have a new video coming out tomorrow, Thursday, a love letter to parents of kids with special needs. So I'm excited about this one. Parents of special needs kids are so important, offering such an incredible gift to the world, and I wanted to just have a love letter to you. So that's coming out tomorrow. Bye, Pasta Geo. I'm sorry about the confusion with the live link. I will figure it out slowly but surely. Okay, I'm making myself leave. I love you. Bye.